In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I build a high-impact multi-genre DJ set on the DDJ Flex 4 controller. We'll go through how I chose the tracks, how I engineer each transition, and then I'll perform the full mix at the end of this video. If you've got a DDJ Flex 4 and you want to understand how to think like a pro DJ when building a set, then this video is going to give you clear direction. My name is Blakey, I'm a DMC champion, and I've helped thousands of DJs level up through my online courses. So let's get into it. Okay, now the set that I'm going to be building in this video is more of a performance. Each transition will be planned and engineered, not random. And the whole point of this video is to show you what is possible on a beginner DJ controller like the DDJ Flex 4. In the 4-minute set, we're going to play hip hop, house, UK garage, and drum and bass. And I'm going to be mixing those genres together in the most creative way possible. And this should give you a really good idea of exactly what the DDJ Flex 4 can do. Now, I'm going to be using Serato for this video, but if you're a Rekordbox user or a virtual DJ user or maybe algorithm DJ, that's totally fine because every single technique that I show you in this video is easily transferred to all of those other platforms. All you need is a basic understanding of your chosen software platform and you're still going to get a ton of value from this video. The reason I'm using Serato is it's just my software of choice and it always has been. And I think it's perfect for mixes like this one. Mixes that are high impact, performance based, and built to be impressive. Now, what I could do is I could simply show you the tracks that I've chosen for this mix and then move on. But actually what I want to do is I want to show you why I chose them, how I found them, and my process for picking a playlist to then build a set with. So if we take a look inside Serato, you can see on the left-hand side that I am logged into my Beatport account. I love using streaming services inside Serato and Rekordbox for two main reasons. Number one is quite obvious. You get access to every song that you could possibly want. But that's not the only reason. I also love the charts and the top 100 tracks in each genre, because it always gives me inspiration for new music that I can add to my sets. I do have a bunch of music in my Serato library that is local and stored on my computer, but obviously I don't have everything, especially newer music. And because in this set I knew that I wanted to get some house, UK garage and drum and bass into the mix, in my opinion the smart thing to do is log into Beatport or your chosen streaming service and then start digging for tracks, because this is how you find new music that you love that other DJs are likely not going to play. So for the house tracks that I'm going to be using in this mix, all I did was I opened up the top 100 drop-down menu and then scroll down to house, which is right here. And then what I like to do is I like to sort my playlist in Serato by the number. So all you need to do is click on this column here. And now number one in the top 100 is at the top. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see number 100 all the way at the bottom. Now you can see that some of these tracks are blue, and that means that I've already listened to them. And you can also see, of course, which tracks I haven't listened to because they are in white. So my advice is to take a listen through some of the top 100 in your chosen genre. And it's always a good idea to not just listen to the top 10. Go a little bit further down because you can guarantee that every track in this top 100 is going to be good. Not all of them are going to be to your taste. For example, there's some house music in here that I've already listened to and it just wasn't for me. But what I like is going to be different to what you like. And that's actually a really important point with this mix that I'm building. When you see the tracks later that I've picked, you might not like some of them. And that's totally fine because the techniques that I'm teaching you in this video, such as how to mix between hip hop, house, and then drum and bass, those skills are easily transferable to any music in your chosen genre. All of the same skills still apply. Now for the drum and bass track at the end of this mix, all I did was went over to the drum and bass top 100 here. And again, I just listened through some of the tracks in the top 100. And I very quickly found a track that I liked that would work perfectly for this mix. Now, what always ends up happening is I end up picking way more tracks than I actually need for the mix. And then as I start building the transitions, which I'm going to show you in depth later in this video, that's when you start eliminating music that you've chosen. Usually I'll pick between 10 and 20 tracks when I know the final mix is going to be 5 or 6 tracks. And then naturally, as you start building out the transitions and planning the set, you're going to naturally start to eliminate tracks from this list. And very quickly, if you struggle with finding music and building out a clean, usable DJ library, I've got a completely free mini course that shows you exactly how pro DJs find music and then put it all together into a cohesive library. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description. Okay, so this is the list of tracks that I've ended up with for this mix. And initially I planned on making a 3-minute set that would have used 5 to 6 tracks, but what I've actually ended up with is 8 tracks for a roughly 4-minute mix. Now again, this is more of a performance set, which is why I'm going to be mixing between the tracks really quickly. And the goal with this mix is to make every single transition as creative as possible. And I'm going to be breaking down every single transition a little bit later in the video. So you can see right here, we actually start the mix with a hip hop track. We've got Stronger by Kanye West. And as I'm sure you know, this track samples Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk. And I'll show you shortly how I go from that hip hop track into a house track seamlessly in the most creative way possible. And then after the house track, we move on to a Marvin Gaye a cappella, which I'm actually going to create a mashup with using a UK garage track. And to be honest, this transition here, this is the one that's going to divide opinion. And then after that, we go back to hip hop by playing Fake Love by Drake. And I'm going to perform another a cappella mashup with that track and a UK garage track by Interplanetary Criminal. After that, we're going to mix into a drum and bass track by 1991 called Icarus. And then I'm going to perform a scratching transition with a Jay-Z a cappella over the drum and bass track. On paper, that list of tracks might sound completely insane, but really this is the part of DJing that I absolutely love and always have. After I picked those tracks, I essentially have a jigsaw that's in 1,000 pieces that I have to put together by using skill and originality. And this is exactly what I love about DJing. Instead of having a hip hop section of this mix, I'm going to be injecting hip hop into other genres. Hip hop over house, hip hop over drum and bass. And one of the most creative and polarizing parts of this mix will be the Marvin Gaye Sexual Healing a cappella over the UK garage track by Sammy Virgi. Some of you watching will see that mashup and you'll think it's terrible, while some of you will like it, and that's totally fine. Because if you never take risks as a DJ, that's how you end up sounding completely stale. And the truth is, if you end up watching this mix and you don't like that a cappella mashup specifically, then my advice to you would be to take that energy and come up with your own a cappella mashups that really represent your own taste in music, your own style of music that you want to actually DJ with. Because all of the techniques that I'm going to show you in this video are completely transferable to any style of music. Now, when I'm creating a mix like this one that's more performance-based, I tend to perform quite intensely and mix quite quickly. But if that's not your style, then just simply let the tracks breathe a little bit more. I'm going to be playing 8 tracks in roughly 4 minutes, and that is super fast. So if that's not your thing, let the tracks play for longer, make the transitions longer and smoother, and simply adjust all of the techniques that I'm going to show you into a style of DJing that is something that you would like to perform and listen to yourself. At the end of the day, it all comes down to personal taste. Now, if you have a DDJ Flex 4 and you would like some completely free lessons to help you build a proper foundation, then there is a link in the description if you'd like to grab those. So now that I've chosen the tracks that I'm going to be using for this mix, we're now into the preparation phase. And this is super important because I find if I was just to take these tracks, stick them on the decks and try and work something out without prepping the tracks in any way, then I'm not going to get anywhere anytime soon. And it's actually just going to confuse me and make the whole process more difficult. Now for the preparation phase, you can use the DDJ Flex 4, but it's just as easy to prepare the tracks without being plugged into your controller. But for the sake of this video, I'm actually going to show you how to prepare them on the DDJ Flex 4. Now, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set cue points or hot cues on the parts of the tracks that we want to use. So right here, I've got a house track, and I'm going to quickly show you where I would set hot cues to help me in the preparation of a mix. So here on the waveform at the top, you can actually see where the drop is. So what I like to do is I like to click here on this waveform just to jump to the part of the track that I want to set my first hot cue on. And I'm actually going to set it right here when the track drops. You can actually tell that this is where the drop is because you've got the red part of the waveform, which signifies a low-end bassy frequency. So this will be a kick drum, and you can also see that there's tons of red after this, which means the track has dropped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the playhead position right here, right on that kick drum at the drop, And I always like to set a hot cue on the first drop on hot cue number 5. And then what I like to do is set one more hot cue 32 beats before the drop on hot cue number 4. And to do this, all we need to do is press the number 32 here, because this row of numbers and arrows is actually the beat jump controls inside Serato. So now with 32 highlighted, let's press this back arrow. And now the playhead position has jumped back 32 beats. So let's set that hot cue there. And now I have a hot cue 32 beats before the drop, which is essentially the breakdown section. And then I have a hot cue right at the drop. And then there's one more hot cue that I will always set, and that is the first downbeat of the track, which I'm going to set on hot cue number 1. So all we need to do is move the playhead position to the first downbeat and then set that hot cue there. Now those are 3 hot cues that I set without fail on every track. And obviously you can set more if you like, but those are the 3 that I like to set first. Now in this mix, I'm going to be mixing between different genres. And that means we need to set the tempo range in our DJ software to plus and minus 50. So here on the left deck, I've got a house track, which is 125. And you can see right here in Serato that the tempo range is set to plus and minus 8, which is what it's set to by default. Now what that means is if I move the pitch slider to the fastest position, we're now only on 135. Now, if we're going to be mixing from house to drum and bass, that range is not enough. So we need to change the tempo range to plus and minus 50. Now, what we can do is we can hold down Shift and press the beat sync button, and that will change the tempo range in Serato. That will also work on Rekordbox. So just make sure that it's set to plus and minus 50. And now if I move the pitch slider back to the middle, so it's 125, take a look at what happens to the BPM when I move this to the faster setting. We're now all the way at 187.5, which is plenty. Don't forget to go through all of the tracks that you've chosen for your set and make sure you set hot cues on the most important parts of the track that you're going to be using. This is where beginners usually go wrong. They skip this part and then it all becomes just a little bit overwhelming when you start playing the tracks on the DDJ Flex 4. For a mix like this, preparation is so important. Now, if you're serious and you want to learn to take your DJ skills to the next level, I've got a bunch of DJ courses that will help you out no matter what level you're at. If you're a beginner DJ learning the foundational skills on the DDJ Flex 4, I've got a course for that. But there are also courses around hip-hop mixing, creative open format DJing, and scratching that will help you take your skills to the next level. There is a link in the description where you can check out all of my courses, and I guarantee that there is something in there that will help you out no matter what level you're at. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through precisely how I engineer every single transition, and then I'm going to perform the mix for you so you can see how everything comes together in a cohesive and creative set. So I actually start off the mix with Stronger by Kanye West, which is running at 104 BPM. But very quickly, I'm going to increase the tempo and start mixing into a house track. And the part of the track that I'm actually going to begin playing on Kanye West Stronger is this part of the track right here. That's how long I've been on ya. But I actually want to loop that section. So all I need to do is go back to the beginning of that part, and I want to loop it for 4 beats. Now here on the DDJ Flex 4, all I need to do is press this button here, and that has set a 4-beat loop inside Serato. And what I also want to do is I want to save that loop to this track. And to do that, all I need to do is click on this icon here, and that loop is now saved. Now right here in the Serato software, you have this left arrow and this right arrow, and this is where you can change the key of the track. Now I need to increase the key of Kanye West Stronger by 2 semitones so that the vocals at the start of this track are playing at the same key as the original Daft Punk track that it samples. So if I go back to those vocals, this is what they sound like at the original key for this Kanye track. Work it, make it, do it, makes us. Now take a listen to what they sound like when I increase the key here by 2 semitones.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us.
Now take a listen to what it sounds like when I speed it up to around 125.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
So now let's put the pitch back to 104, and I'm going to show you how I will transition from 104 to 125, where I will then start playing the house track on the right deck.
That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya.
Now this house track has vocals, so I'm actually going to use Serato stems to take the vocals out of this track so that we've just got the instrumental version. Now inside Serato, this is very simple. All you need to do is press this piano icon here, which will turn the track into the instrumental version. Take a listen. So now the vocals have completely gone. And the reason we need to do that is because I am going to start triggering all of these 8 hot cues on the Kanye track, which are set to different parts of the Daft Punk vocal.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
So this is where we're going to get creative, and we're going to start re-triggering these vocals to make our own patterns and variations, and essentially create a live remix of this track. I'm also going to be using some reverb inside Serato to apply it to these vocal snippets as I'm triggering them. So you can turn it on here,
Work,
so you can hear that nice reverb tail at the end.
work it, make it, do it, makes us.
So over in Serato, let's open up the effects tab, and you can see right here, I've got Epic Reverb turned on. And if I go to the settings, right here, you can see my exact reverb settings inside Serato. So feel free to copy all of these settings. Now I've actually set it up in a way where you don't actually want to have the level depth set too high. Because if you have it set up here,
Work,
that reverb is too loud and it's actually going to drown out the other track. So you want to have the level depth set to around here, or maybe a little bit lower, depending on the sound that you want to achieve.
work it, make it,
So even that is slightly high. So let's turn that down a bit.
work it, make it, do it, makes us.
Now the reason I increased the key of the Kanye West track by 2 semitones is so that it matches the key of the house track on the right deck. So if I bring this Kanye West track back down to its original key, you can see it says 2A right here. Now this is the key of the track, and it's actually a code which is called the Camelot Wheel code, which makes mixing in key for DJs so simple. You can see the track on the other deck is in the key of 4A. And the way that the Camelot Wheel code works is each track is given a number between 1 and 12, and a letter which is either A or B. Now, honestly, I think most DJs and most DJ educators massively overcomplicate the concept of mixing in key. And it really does become this rabbit hole that once you start to go down, you just start to overthink it and it starts to compromise other areas of your DJ set. So all you need to know is the following. On this chart, as long as you only move 1 step to the left or right, you're good. For example, a track in the key of 4A will mix perfectly in key with a track in 4A, 3A, or 5A. The letter can change as long as the number stays the same. So 4A would mix with 4B. Here's another example. If you've got a track in the key of 12A, this will mix in key with a track that's 11A, 12A, or 1A. And it will also mix with 12B. That is all you need to know for now when it comes to mixing in key. So to make the track on the left deck mix in the same key as the track on the right deck, all we need to do is either press this button right here, which is the key sync button, or you can manually shift the key by pressing the left or the right arrow. So now you can see we've gone up 2 semitones so that the Kanye West track now mixes in key with the house track. And when I start triggering all of these different hot cues, key matching is what allows the Kanye West vocal to sit on top of the house instrumental without them clashing and sounding terrible. Okay, so then once I'm finished triggering the hot cues on Kanye West Stronger, I then load in the acapella for Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing.
Oh, baby, now let's get down tonight.
And I've actually set a saved loop on that line, let's get down tonight. So to turn that loop on, all I need to do is click this icon here. And now that loop is active.
Oh, baby, now let's get down tonight. Let's get down tonight. Let's get down tonight. Let's get down tonight.
And then what I do is I apply some reverb and some high pass filter to that loop.
Let's get down tonight. 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 Let's get down tonight.
So as you can see, we're still running at 125 BPM, but the Sammy Verji track that I'm going to mix with the Marvin Gaye track is actually 135. So whilst that loop from the acapella is playing, I'm actually going to gradually bring up the tempo from 125 to 135 using the tempo slider here. And of course, it's very important that both of the tracks are synced for this to work. For a mix like this one, sync is vital because there are lots of different moments where I'm going to be increasing the BPM whilst the tracks are actually mixing. And this is only possible if you have sync enabled.
Let's get down tonight. 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 Let's get down tonight.
So as soon as this UK Garage track drops, that's when I'm going to start mixing in the Marvin Gaye a cappella. I'm actually going to save that mix for later, and feel free to tell me in the comments what you think of that specific mashup, because I think it's going to really divide opinion. It's also important to quickly mention that again, both of these tracks are in the same key. You can see in Serato, both tracks are in the key of 5A. For me, the only time when mixing in key is a complete and utter non-negotiable is when you have an a cappella, which is singing just like this one is, and you're mixing it with an instrumental. If these tracks were not in the same key as each other, it would just sound completely wrong. And then after I bring out the Marvin Gaye a cappella, I let the UK Garage track play for a little bit, and then I mix in Fake Love by Drake. But very quickly, I'm going to switch from the full Drake track to just the a cappella. And to do this, I actually use the Serato stems pad mode. If you take a look inside Serato, we can actually change the view from hot cue mode to stems mode by clicking this icon here. And then you can actually see the layout of the stems pad mode in Serato. Now we can actually change one of the pad modes on the DDJ Flex 4 to that stems pad mode. And if you're using Serato, I cannot recommend this enough because it makes using stems way more fun, way more intuitive, and way more creative. So if we go to the settings in Serato, under DJ preferences, you've got this option here, replace primary hardware pad mode with stems. Make sure that's ticked. And then as you can see on this drop-down menu, we only have sampler available. Now, most other Serato hardware will give you a list of options for pad modes that you can replace, but we can only replace the sampler on the DDJ Flex 4. So let's come out of the settings. And now on the DDJ Flex 4, if I go to the sampler pad mode, you can now see that this will control the stems in Serato. And this is actually what I use for this entire set. So now to get the a cappella for the Drake track, all we need to do is turn off these stems, press play, and you'll hear that we've just got the a cappella.
Yeah. I've been down so long it look like up to me.
And then on the other deck, I load in a speed garage track by Interplanetary Criminal called Baddest of Them All. This track also has vocals, so I'm going to take out the vocal stem. And then we've got the drop here. I also need to bring up the tempo to 137. And then I start mixing in the speed garage track over the Drake a cappella from the breakdown section. And this is 32 beats before the drop. So we'll have a moment here where the Drake a cappella is mixing with this track, and then they'll drop together and the Drake a cappella will continue. Whilst the Drake a cappella is playing, I'm going to apply a small amount of my reverb, and I'll also play around with the filter. And this is just to stop the sound of the a cappella becoming too stale and repetitive. Subtly changing the sound like this over time is just a good way to keep things sounding fresh. I also have a hot cue set right here, at the end of the Drake track. And I'm actually going to trigger that and then start mixing in a drum and bass track on the right deck. And I'm actually going to take out the vocal and the melody stem on the drum and bass track. So we've just got the bass and the drums. Now, obviously, we're currently at 135 BPM roughly, and we need to increase the BPM to 174. Now, this is where a wide BPM transition comes in super handy. Because earlier we set the tempo range to plus and minus 50, all I need to do whilst that drum and bass track is mixing in is just gradually bring the BPM up to 174. So take a listen to this.
I've been down so long it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake love to me. Straight up to my face. Straight up to my face.
The key with a mix like that is to make sure you only gradually bring the tempo up, because otherwise if you bring the tempo up too fast, it's going to sound disjointed and it's going to mess up people's rhythm on the dance floor. So the key is to just gradually increase the tempo by only moving the tempo slider slowly and with intention. Wide BPM transitions like this, they only work if you plan them. If you just wing it during your set, you're almost guaranteed to not perform it in a way that actually sounds clean and professional. And then once that drum and bass track drops, the final mix in this set is going to be a scratching transition using the acapella of Dirt Off Your Shoulder by Jay-Z.
If you feeling like a pimp, nigga, gone, brush your shoulders off, get that dirt off your shoulder.
You don't actually need to be a DMC champion to inject some scratching into your club sets, because even the most basic scratches will work, like the baby scratch. The baby scratch is where you simply move the jog wheel backwards and forwards, and you do it with the fader turned on, and you don't use the crossfader at all.
If you feeling like a pimp, nigga, get that dirt up your shoulder.
You don't actually need complex scratches, you just need good timing. Now, before I show you the full mix, if you're actually serious about leveling up your DJing long term, I have an all-access pass that will give you access to every course that I've made so far and every future course that I will ever make for one affordable price. A lot of my serious students, they go down that route because it just makes sense long term. That is linked in the description if you would like to check it out. But now let's check out the full mix.
That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya. That's how long I've been on ya.
Work it, make it, do it, make that, work it, make it, make that, make that, hold up, better, make it, make that, do it, make it, make that, hold up, do it, make that, do it, make it, make that, hold up, better, faster, stronger. Better, make it faster. Hold up, make it that stronger. Better, hold up, do it, make it faster. Hold up, better, faster, stronger. Better, faster. Hold up, make stronger. Better, faster, better, make do it better. Hold up, better, faster, stronger.
Baby, let's get down tonight. 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 Let's get down tonight.
Baby, I'm hot just like an oven. I need some loving. And baby, I can't hold it much longer. It's getting stronger and stronger. And when I get that feeling, I
it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake love to me. Straight up to my face. Straight up to my face. I've been down so long it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake love to me. Straight up to my face. Straight up to my face. I've been down so long it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake love to me. Straight up to my face. Straight up to my face. I've been down so long it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake